The notification from my banking app made my heart stop. 127 of $430. Transfer to account 7729. I blinked hard, hoping I was hallucinating after too many hours at my laptop. But the numbers didn't change. I'm a vet, and until that moment, I thought I had a normal life. Successful career as an investigative journalist, comfortable home in Seattle, and what I believed was a stable marriage of 8 years to Nathan. This has to be a mistake, I muttered, frantically dialing Nathan's number. Straight to voicemail. Again and again. My hands shaking, I called Peyton, my best friend since college. Hey, you need to come over, now. What's wrong? You sound terrible, she said. Just, please. 20 minutes later, Peyton sat beside me on our leather couch, staring at my phone screen. Holy shit, Yvette. When did this happen? This morning, while I was in a meeting. I pulled up Nathan's text from 2 days ago. Heading to Vancouver for that big merger deal. Should be back next week. Love you. Have you called Warren? Peyton asked, referring to Nathan's business partner. That's next on my list. I pressed the speaker button as I dialed. Yvette? Warren's voice crackled through. I was about to call you. Is Nathan with you? My stomach dropped. What do you mean? He's supposed to be with you in Vancouver. A heavy silence followed. There is no merger meeting in Vancouver. I haven't seen Nathan in 3 days, and he's missed 2 important client calls. The room started spinning. Peyton grabbed my hand, squeezing it tight. Warren, I need you to be honest with me, I said, my journalist instincts kicking in. Has anything seemed off about Nathan lately? He hesitated. He's been taking a lot of private calls. Last week I overheard him talking about some resort. Seemed weird for a merger discussion. After hanging up, I dove into our home office, pulling open drawers and rifling through papers. In the bottom drawer of Nathan's desk, I found a crumpled receipt from a coffee shop. The date was yesterday, in Miami. Look at this, I showed Peyton. He's not in Vancouver. He's in fucking Miami. Check your computer, Peyton suggested. You're literally an investigative journalist. Use those skills. She was right. I logged into our joint credit card account, and there it was. A trail of transactions leading to the Sunset Paradise Resort in Miami. Room service charges, spa treatments, poolside drinks. 2 of everything, I whispered, scrolling through the charges. He's not alone. My phone buzzed. A text from Nathan. Meeting's running late. Signal's bad here. Talk soon. Signal's bad, my ass, Peyton muttered, reading over my shoulder. What are you going to do? I stood up, walking to our bedroom. The closet door slid open with a soft whoosh. Half of Nathan's expensive suits were gone, along with his favorite watches and the leather weekender bag I'd given him for Christmas. I'm going to find him, I said, pulling out my own suitcase. And I'm going to make him wish he'd never touched my savings. Yvette, wait. Peyton grabbed my arm. You need a plan. You can't just storm down there. Watch me. But even as I said it, I knew she was right. I sat heavily on the bed, my mind racing. First, I need to protect what's left of our assets. I spent the next hour on the phone with the bank, freezing joint accounts and credit cards. Then I called in sick to work, my first time in 3 years. I found something. Peyton called from the office. She'd been combing through Nathan's desk while I made calls. She held up a business card for Brian Gill, financial consultant. It fell out of his passport holder. I grabbed my laptop, typing the name into our newspaper's database. Brian Gill had been involved in several cases of offshore banking and tax evasion. Nothing proven, but enough smoke to suggest fire. This isn't just about an affair, I said, pieces clicking into place. He's been planning this. The merger story, the business trips, all of it. He's been setting this up for months. Peyton watched me with concern. What's your next move? I opened my own banking app, looking at my personal savings, the one account Nathan couldn't touch. I'm booking a flight to Miami, but first I need to make some calls. If Nathan thinks he can just disappear with my money, he doesn't know who he married. My phone buzzed again. Another text from Nathan. Miss you, honey. Can't wait to be home. I stared at the message, a cold smile spreading across my face. Oh, don't worry, Nathan. You'll see me sooner than you think. The next morning, I sat in Warren's office, watching him pace behind his desk. The Seattle skyline stretched behind him, gray and misty through the floor-to-ceiling windows. These signatures, Warren held up a stack of papers. I thought they were from our clients, but look closer. I leaned forward, examining the documents. After 8 years of marriage, I knew Nathan's handwriting better than my own. He forged them. All of them. Warren collapsed into his chair. The merger wasn't just a lie to you, Yvette. It was a cover story for something bigger. He's been moving money around for months. How much? At least $2 million from company accounts. Warren rubbed his temples. I trusted him. We all did. My phone buzzed. Another text from Nathan. Meeting with investors today. Missing you. I showed it to Warren, who laughed bitterly. You know what's crazy? He said. He's still posting on LinkedIn about being in Vancouver. Tagged himself at some coffee shop there this morning. I pulled out my laptop. Show me. Warren leaned over my shoulder as I scrolled through Nathan's social media. Everything looked normal. Too normal. Business articles shared, professional comments, location tags in Vancouver. Wait, I clicked on a photo from the coffee shop. The reflection in the window behind Nathan showed palm trees. This isn't Vancouver. I opened another tab, typing rapidly. Within minutes, I'd found the same coffee shop in Miami's financial district. He's getting sloppy, I muttered. My phone rang. Peyton. You need to see this, she said without greeting. Check your email. I opened my inbox to find a forwarded Instagram post. The account was private under the name Paradise Bound 28, but Peyton had managed to get screenshots. There was Nathan lounging by a pool, his arm around a young woman with long dark hair and designer sunglasses. Her name is Piper, Peyton said. I did some digging. She works or worked at that financial consulting firm, the one with Brian Gill. Send me everything you have on her, I said, my voice steady despite the rage building in my chest. And Peyton, thank you. After hanging up, I turned to Warren. I need access to all of Nathan's work emails and files. Yvette, that's not exactly... Warren, he stole from you too. Are you going to help me or not? He stared at me for a long moment before nodding. Give me an hour. I spent that hour in a coffee shop across the street, making calls. First to my editor, pitching a story about financial fraud that would take me to Miami, then to Brian Gill's office. Mr. Gill is unavailable, his secretary said. Tell him Yvette Hughes is calling, Nathan's wife. Silence then. Please hold. Mrs. Wilcox, a smooth male voice came on the line. How can I help you? It's Ms. Hughes, I corrected, and I think we both know why I'm calling. I'm afraid I don't. My husband disappeared with over $100,000 of my money. Your business card was in his passport holder, and your former employee Piper is currently with him in Miami. Still confused? More silence. This isn't a conversation we should have over the phone. Fine, I'll be in Miami tomorrow. Shall we meet for coffee? He named a time and place, then hung up abruptly. Back in Warren's office, I found him looking shell-shocked. You need to see this, he said, turning his monitor toward me. Email after email showed Nathan's correspondence with offshore accounts, wire transfers disguised as business expenses, and meetings that never happened. There's more, Warren said. Look at the dates. This goes back almost a year. A year. While I was working late nights on stories, while I was saving for our future, while I was planning anniversary dinners he never showed up for, he was planning this. My phone buzzed again. Nathan. Dinner with clients. Wish you were here. I took a deep breath, then typed, How's the weather in Vancouver? His response came quickly. Rainy as usual, missing the Seattle sunshine. I checked the weather app on my phone. Vancouver was having a rare sunny day. Miami was expecting rain? Got you, I whispered. Warren watched me with concern. What are you going to do? I stood up, gathering my things. First, I'm going to book a flight to Miami. Then I'm going to find my husband and his girlfriend. And finally, I smiled, but there was no warmth in it. I'm going to make sure they both regret ever hearing the name Yvette Hughes. As I walked out of Warren's office, my phone buzzed one last time. A notification from my banking app. Unusual activity detected. Nathan was trying to access our frozen accounts. Too late, honey, I muttered. Game on. Miami hit me with a wall of humidity as I stepped out of the airport. I'd spent the entire flight studying Piper's social media presence, memorizing her face, her habits, her patterns. 28 years old, former financial consultant, yoga enthusiast, and apparently my husband's partner in crime. My phone rang. Nathan's sister, Esther. Tell me you're going to destroy him, she said without preamble. You knew? I suspected. Nathan's done this before, Yvette. Remember his ex-girlfriend from college? I pulled my suitcase to the curb, flagging down a taxi. What do you mean? He cleaned out their joint account right before graduation. Dad covered it up, paid her off to keep quiet. Esther's voice hardened. I should have told you sooner. The taxi driver loaded my bag as I processed this. Why tell me now? Because I'm done protecting him. Check your email. I'm sending you something. I opened the attachment as the taxi merged onto the highway. Photos from Nathan's previous business trips, always with different women, always at luxury resorts. My hands shook with rage. There's more, Esther said. That consulting firm, Brian Gill, they're under investigation by the SEC. Nathan knows this. He's using them to move money offshore before everything crashes. I arrived at my hotel, deliberately chosen on the opposite side of Miami from the Sunset Paradise Resort. As I checked in, I spotted a familiar face in the lobby, Brian Gill himself, exactly as his LinkedIn photo showed. I'll call you back, I told Esther. Brian saw me approaching and stood. Ms. Hughes, you're early. And you're staying in my hotel. Coincidence? He gestured to the bar. Shall we? Over overpriced cocktails, Brian painted a picture that made my blood boil. Nathan and Piper had been planning this for months. The firm was their cover, helping them move money through a complex web of offshore accounts. Why are you telling me this? I asked. Brian swirled his scotch. Because in 48 hours, everything crashes. The SEC investigation goes public. Nathan and Piper take the fall, and I walk away clean. He smiled thinly. Unless someone warns them. You want me to be your scapegoat? I want you to get your money back. The timing of how that happens, that's up to you. I leaned forward. Tell me everything. An hour later, I sat in my room, processing what I'd learned. Nathan and Piper weren't just stealing from me. They were the fall guys in a massive financial scheme, and they had no idea. My phone buzzed with a text from Peyton. Found Piper's real Instagram. Check your email. The account was filled with recent photos. Piper at the resort spa, by the pool, at fancy restaurants. And in the background of one photo, partially hidden behind a palm tree, was Nathan. Another text came through. Nathan. These Vancouver meetings are endless. Miss you. I opened my laptop and began typing. Dear Nathan, the weather in Vancouver must be amazing. Those palm trees in the background of your LinkedIn photo really add to the Canadian atmosphere. Say hi to Piper for me. Love, your wife. My finger hovered over the send button, but I stopped. Not yet. I needed more. A knock at my door made me jump. I opened it to find Esther. Surprise, she said, walking past me. I got on the first flight I could. Esther, you didn't have to. Yes, I did. She pulled out her phone. Nathan just tried to access his trust fund, the one our parents set up. He's getting desperate. I showed her Brian's information. He's being set up. Good. Esther's face hardened. But it's not enough. I want him to lose everything, just like he did to you. My phone buzzed again. A message from an unknown number, a video link. I clicked it. There was Nathan, in what looked like a business meeting, shaking hands with men in expensive suits. The timestamp was from yesterday. That's the SEC sting operation, Esther said, watching over my shoulder. They're building their case. Nathan thinks he's the mastermind, but he's just another puppet. I stood up, grabbing my purse. I need to see him, now. Yvette, wait. No. I turned to her. I want to see his face when he realizes his perfect plan is falling apart, and I want Piper to watch. Esther smiled slowly. The resort's having a cocktail party tonight. I may have gotten us invitations. I checked my phone one last time. Nathan had posted another LinkedIn update. Great meetings in Vancouver. Success is all about trust. Trust, I muttered, grabbing my room key. Let's see how much you trust your girlfriend when everything falls apart. The Sunset Paradise Resort's grand ballroom sparkled with champagne glasses and fake laughter. I adjusted my blonde wig, a suggestion from Peyton that felt ridiculous but necessary. Esther stood beside me, scanning the crowd. There, she whispered, nodding toward the bar. Nathan stood with his back to us, his arm around Piper's waist. She wore a red dress that probably cost more than most people's monthly salary. My money at work. Remember, Esther murmured, we're just here to observe. A waiter passed with champagne. I grabbed 2 glasses, handing one to Esther. Follow my lead. We circled the room, always keeping Nathan in sight while staying just out of his line of vision. I snapped photos discreetly with my phone, documenting every interaction, every handshake, every suspicious conversation. Mrs. Hughes? I turned to find Brian Gill behind me. He glanced at my wig. Interesting choice. What are you doing here? I hissed. Warning you. He handed me a folded note. Nathan's not as stupid as we thought. He's planning to leave tonight. My heart raced as I read the note. Flight details to the Cayman Islands, departing at midnight. Does Piper know? I asked. Brian smiled grimly. That's the interesting part. He booked one ticket. Before I could respond, Nathan's laugh carried across the room. He was heading our way. Brian disappeared into the crowd, leaving me and Esther to duck behind a large tropical flower arrangement. The transfer should clear by midnight, Nathan was saying to someone on his phone. Yes, all of it. No, she has no idea. Esther grabbed my arm as Nathan passed within feet of us. Piper wasn't with him anymore. I spotted her heading toward the ladies' room. Go, Esther whispered. I'll watch Nathan. The resort's bathroom was all marble and gold fixtures. Piper stood at the mirror, reapplying her lipstick. We were alone. Nice dress, I said, moving to the sink beside her. My money looks good on you. She froze, lipstick halfway to her mouth. Her eyes met mine in the mirror, recognition flickering despite the wig. Yvette. Surprised to see me? I guess Nathan told you I was home in Seattle, crying over my empty bank account. Piper turned, her face composed. It's not what you think. Really? Because I think you and my husband stole my money and are about to be arrested by the SEC. Her composure cracked. What? I pulled out my phone, showing her the photos Esther had sent. Nathan's done this before, and now he's doing it to you. You're lying. Check his phone. Look for flight confirmations to the Cayman Islands. One ticket, Piper. Just one. She stared at me, mascara smudging slightly at the corners of her eyes. He wouldn't. He would. And when the SEC investigation goes public tomorrow, guess who takes the fall? Not Nathan. You. The bathroom door opened. A group of women entered, chattering loudly. When they left, Piper was gone. I found Esther by the bar. Nathan's getting suspicious, she said. He keeps checking his phone. Right on cue, we heard raised voices from the terrace. Piper was confronting Nathan, her voice carrying through the open doors. Show me your phone, she demanded. Right now. Piper, you're making a scene. One ticket? You booked one fucking ticket? The party grew quiet, heads turning toward the drama unfolding. I slipped through the crowd, positioning myself near the terrace doors. Nathan grabbed Piper's arm. Let's discuss this privately. Let go of me. She yanked away, tears streaming now. You used me, just like you used her. Everything okay here? Hotel security appeared, drawn by the commotion. Nathan's face was red with rage and embarrassment. Fine, he snapped. We're fine. My phone buzzed. A text from Brian. SEC agents in position. Don't let him leave. I stepped forward, pulling off my wig. No, you're not fine. Nothing about this is fine. Nathan's face went from red to white. Yvette? Surprise, honey. How's Vancouver? He backed away, looking for an escape route. Security blocked one exit, Esther another. Piper stood between him and the ballroom, mascara streaking her cheeks. It's over, Nathan, I said. The SEC knows everything. Brian Gill sold you out hours ago. You don't understand, he started. Oh, I understand perfectly. You're a con man. You've always been a con man. But this time, you picked the wrong mark. Flashbulbs went off. Reporters I'd tipped off earlier, capturing the moment. Nathan's face contorted with rage as he realized the trap. Security, I called out. This man is attempting to flee the country to avoid federal charges. I believe the FBI would like a word. As security closed in, Nathan made one desperate move. He ran. But he didn't get far. The SEC agents Brian had mentioned emerged from the crowd, badges out. Nathan Wilcox, one announced. You're under arrest for securities fraud. I watched them lead him away, Piper's sobs echoing across the terrace. Esther appeared beside me, offering a fresh glass of champagne. Worth the trip? She asked. I smiled, raising my glass. Oh, sister-in-law, we're just getting started. The Miami FBI field office smelled like stale coffee and printer ink. I sat across from Agent Martinez, sliding Nathan's forged documents across her desk. "This is just the beginning," I said. "Warren's sending more files." She leafed through the papers, eyebrows rising. "Your husband's been busy." "Ex-husband, soon enough." My phone buzzed, Piper requesting a meeting. After last night's chaos, she'd been questioned and released. Nathan wasn't so lucky. "I have to go," I told Martinez. "But there's someone else you should talk to." Brian Gill sat in the lobby, looking considerably less polished than the night before. "They're questioning Nathan now," he said as I approached. "And you're next." I nodded toward the agents heading our way. "Hope it was worth it." He smiled thinly. "Always is." I left him to the FBI and headed to the coffee shop where Piper waited. She'd traded her designer dress for jeans and a plain t-shirt, her face bare of makeup. "Thank you for coming," she said as I sat down. "I know you probably hate me." "Hate's exhausting. I'm more interested in the truth." She pulled out a laptop. "I kept records of everything. Nathan, he made me think we were exposing corporate fraud, that we were the good guys. And the money? Offshore accounts, multiple shells. But here's what Nathan didn't know." She turned the screen toward me. I documented every transfer, every conversation, every lie. I stared at the spreadsheets, the emails, the recorded phone calls. Why? Insurance. I learned early in this business, always keep receipts. She laughed bitterly. Guess I was right. My phone rang. Esther. "You need to see the news," she said when I answered. I pulled up a financial news website. The headlines screamed about Brian Gill's firm collapsing, billions in client money missing. Nathan's arrest was a footnote. He was just a small fish, I realized. Brian used him as a distraction. "Smart girl," a voice said behind me. I turned to find Brian, flanked by FBI agents. "Couldn't stay away?" "Had to see if Piper would show you the real books." He nodded at her laptop. "The ones that prove where the money really went." Piper's face hardened. "You used us all. And you let me. That's the beauty of greed. It makes people so willing to believe lies." The agents tightened their grip on his arms. "But I have to admit, Yvette, you surprised me. Most wives just cry and hire lawyers." "I'm not most wives." "Clearly." He smiled as they led him away. "Good luck finding the money." I turned back to Piper. "Is he bluffing?" She shook her head, typing rapidly. "Nathan wasn't just moving our money, he was moving everyone's, but he kept separate records." She pulled up another spreadsheet, including account numbers. My phone buzzed again. Warren. "The FBI found something in Nathan's office," he said. "A safe behind the bookshelf. They need you to come identify some items." An hour later, I stood in Nathan's office while agents cracked the safe. Inside were passports, USB drives, and a familiar leather journal. My grandmother's, which had gone missing months ago. "He used it to hide account numbers," an agent explained, showing me the tiny numbers written in the margins. Classic code book technique. I flipped through the pages, rage building. He hadn't just stolen my money. He'd desecrated a family heirloom to do it. My phone lit up with a text from the prison where they held Nathan. "We need to talk. Please." "He's desperate," Esther said, reading over my shoulder. "The DA's offering deals to anyone who talks." I showed her Piper's documents. "He should be." "What are you going to do?" I looked around the office, at the evidence bags, the broken safe, the shattered remains of Nathan's carefully constructed lies. "I'm going to visit my husband." "Yvette, he wants to talk? Fine. Let's talk about how his girlfriend kept better records than he did. About how his mentor just threw him under the bus. About how every cent he stole is documented in the margins of my grandmother's journal." Piper appeared in the doorway. "The FBI wants to know if you'll testify." "Will you?" She nodded. "I'm done protecting him." My phone buzzed one final time. Nathan again. "I can explain everything. Just give me a chance." I thought about the past year, the missed dinners, the late meetings, the lies, about how he'd used my trust, my love, and my grandmother's journal to steal not just from me, but from countless others. "Tell the FBI I'll testify," I said to Piper. Then to Esther, "Call my lawyer. It's time to file for divorce." I typed a response to Nathan. "See you in court." Some things don't need explanation. Some betrayals can't be justified. And some wives don't just get even. They get justice. The prison visiting room buzzed with fluorescent lights and hushed conversations. Nathan sat across from me, orange jumpsuit replacing his designer suits, dark circles under his eyes. "You look terrible," I said. "Yvette, please, just listen." "No, you listen." I placed my grandmother's journal on the table between us. Every number, every account, every lie, it's all here. Did you really think I wouldn't figure it out? His eyes darted to the journal, then back to me. I was going to pay it back. All of it. With what? The money you were taking to the Caymans? A muscle twitched in his jaw. You don't understand the pressure I was under. Brian, save it for your lawyer. I opened the journal. Let's talk about account number 4472, the one you opened in Dubai. His face paled. How did you? Piper kept records. Of everything. I leaned forward. She's testifying tomorrow. She wouldn't. She already is. Right now, actually. While you sit here trying to manipulate me one last time, she's telling the FBI everything. The door opened. Agent Martinez entered with a file folder. "Mrs. Hughes, we need to discuss something." "It's Ms. Hughes," Nathan and I said simultaneously. Martinez laid out photos on the table. Nathan at various banks with different women spanning years. "Your sister provided these," she told me. "Mr. Wilcox, want to explain?" Nathan's lawyer burst in. "Don't say another word." "Too late," I said, standing. "He's been talking plenty. Check his calls from last night, especially the one to his contact in Dubai." Nathan's head snapped up. "You recorded my calls?" "No, honey, you did. Remember that app you installed on my phone last year? The one that was supposed to protect me? It works both ways." His lawyer looked ready to faint. Martinez smiled. "One more thing." I pulled out my phone. "Remember that reporter you hate? The one from the Financial Times? She's running a story tomorrow. Front page." "You wouldn't," Nathan whispered. "I already did. Complete with quotes from Piper, Brian, and all those other women you scammed over the years." I showed him the preview text. "Your parents will love the family photos." His lawyer grabbed his arm as he started to rise. "Nathan, sit down." "You're destroying my life," he shouted. "No, you did that yourself. I'm just making sure everyone knows about it." Martinez stepped between us. "I think we're done here." In the hallway, Esther waited with Peyton, who'd flown in for moral support. "How'd he take it?" Peyton asked. "About as well as you'd expect." I checked my phone. The Financial Times article had already gone live online. Comments were pouring in. "Ms. Hughes," a prison guard approached. "Your husband, Mr. Wilcox, is requesting another meeting. Tell him to talk to my lawyer." My phone rang. Warren. "The SEC just froze everything," he said. "All accounts, all assets. They found the Dubai connection." "Good." I watched through the window as Nathan was led away, his shoulders slumped. "What about the company?" "Insurance will cover most client losses. But Nathan, he's finished. No firm will ever hire him again." Esther touched my arm. "Ready to go?" We walked out into the Miami sunshine, where reporters waited with cameras. "Ms. Hughes, is it true your husband stole from multiple women?" "Did you really track him down yourself?" "What about the offshore accounts?" I stepped up to the microphones, Esther and Peyton flanking me. "My soon-to-be ex-husband didn't just steal money," I said clearly. "He stole trust, he stole futures, he stole dreams. But today, justice is being served." "What about Piper James?" "Ask the FBI. I'm sure they'll have plenty to say after her testimony." Back at the hotel, I found a message from Brian's lawyer. "Client willing to testify against Nathan in exchange for consideration." "They're all turning on each other," Esther said, reading over my shoulder. "Like rats from a sinking ship," Peyton added. My phone buzzed with a text from Nathan's mother. "We had no idea. We're so sorry." Another from his father. "Please don't run the article." Too late. My phone was already lighting up with notifications as the story spread across social media. Nathan's carefully constructed world was crumbling, one share at a time. "What now?" Peyton asked. I looked at my grandmother's journal, at the evidence of Nathan's betrayal written in its margins. Then at my phone, where the story of his downfall was spreading like wildfire. Now we make sure this never happens to anyone else. The truth, as they say, sets you free. But sometimes it also serves justice in ways the law never could. "One more thing," I said, pulling out my laptop. "I think it's time to write my own story." The courthouse steps were packed with reporters as Nathan was led in for his arraignment. I sat in the back row with Esther, watching him shuffle in with shackled feet. "All rise," the bailiff called. The charges took nearly 5 minutes to read: fraud, money laundering, theft, conspiracy. Nathan pleaded not guilty to each one, his voice barely audible. My phone vibrated. A message from Piper. "Just finished my testimony. You should know something." I slipped out into the hallway. "What is it?" "Nathan tried to contact me last night," she said. "Through his cellmate. He wants me to change my story." "Did you record the call?" "Better. I had my lawyer on the line. The FBI has it now." Back inside, Nathan's lawyer was arguing for bail. I caught fragments. Upstanding citizen, ties to the community, no flight risk. The prosecutor stood. "Your Honor, we have new evidence of witness tampering." Nathan's head whipped around, his eyes finding mine. I held up my phone, letting him see Piper's name on the screen. The judge denied bail. Outside, Esther grabbed my arm. "Look." A familiar face was being led up the courthouse steps in handcuffs. Brian Gill, looking considerably less smug than the last time I'd seen him. "Ms. Hughes," he called out. "A word?" I approached, keeping my distance. "Make it quick. Nathan's going to try something. He has money hidden even I don't know about. Watch the airports." Before I could respond, his guards pulled him away. My phone rang. Warren. "The forensic accountants found something. Can you come to the office?" An hour later, I stared at the documents spread across Warren's desk. Hidden accounts, fake identities, properties I'd never known about. "He started this years ago," Warren said, "long before he met you. The question is," Esther picked up a paper, "where's the money now?" My phone buzzed, an alert from the bank. Someone was trying to access my frozen accounts from an IP address in Dubai. "Got you," I whispered. I called Agent Martinez. "Nathan's making moves. Check security footage at his lawyer's office around 3 p.m. yesterday." Within an hour, she called back. "We found it. His lawyer passed him a phone during their meeting." "And?" "We traced the calls. Multiple attempts to transfer funds using stolen identities. We've alerted Interpol." My phone lit up with another text. "Nathan's mother. He's asking to see you, please." "Don't," Esther warned. "I won't. But I know who he will see." I dialed Piper. "Feel like making one more deal?" The prison visiting room was cold. Piper sat across from Nathan, wearing a wire so thin it was invisible. I watched through the observation window with Martinez as Nathan leaned forward, desperate. "The account in Singapore," he whispered. "Access code 7749. Get there before they freeze it." "And then what?" Piper asked. "Get me out. I know people who can help." Martinez smiled. That's all we needed. Within hours, Nathan faced additional charges. His lawyer quit. The Singapore account was frozen. My phone wouldn't stop buzzing. "Warren. Company insurance approved full restitution." Peyton. "Your story just hit 1 million views." Esther. Parents finally stopped defending him. And then, unexpectedly, a message from Nathan's cellmate. "He's crying. Keeps saying he's sorry." "Too little, too late," I muttered. The next morning, I sat in my editor's office in Seattle, finalizing my article about financial fraud and betrayal. My phone rang. Martinez again. "We found it all," she said. "Every account, every dollar. The recovery team is already working on restitution." "What about Nathan?" "Looking at 20 years, minimum. His new lawyer is begging for a deal, but with the witness tampering charges." I ended the call and looked out at the Seattle skyline. My office felt different now, stronger somehow. A knock at my door, Warren. "The board approved your promotion, head of investigative journalism." "Thanks to Nathan," I said dryly. "No." Warren shook his head. "Thanks to you. You turned personal betrayal into public justice." My phone buzzed one last time. A message from the prison. "Inmate Nathan Wilcox requests to be removed from your approved visitor list." I smiled, typing my response. Request approved. Some endings aren't about forgiveness. Sometimes justice is enough. "One more thing," Warren said, pausing at the door. "The FBI wants you to consult on similar cases. Apparently you have a knack for following the money." I looked at my grandmother's journal, now cleared of evidence, and returned to its rightful place on my desk. Tell them I'm interested. Very interested. The gavel's sharp crack echoed through the courtroom. In the matter of the United States versus Nathan Wilcox, this court sentences the defendant to 23 years in federal prison. Nathan stood motionless as the judge continued listing penalties: restitution, fines, forfeitures. His designer suit had been replaced by prison orange, his confident smirk by hollow eyes. I felt Esther squeeze my hand as the judge addressed me directly. Ms. Hughes, your investigative work was instrumental in this case. Do you wish to make a statement? I stood, straightening my blazer. The courtroom fell silent. I could talk about the money he stole, the lives he ruined, or the trust he betrayed, but instead, I want to thank him. Nathan's head snapped up. Thank you, Nathan, for showing me exactly who you are. Thank you for teaching me that justice doesn't always come from courts. Sometimes it comes from one person refusing to be a victim. The judge nodded. Ms. Hughes, the FBI tells me you've assisted in 3 similar cases since this investigation began. 7, actually. This morning's arrest makes 8. My phone buzzed silently. Another text from Agent Martinez about a new case. Another husband, another scam, another woman refusing to stay silent. As guards led Nathan away, he tried one last time. Yvette, please. Goodbye, Nathan. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed. Piper appeared at my side, her testimony complete, her own plea deal secured. They found the last account, she whispered. The one in Malaysia. I know. I showed her my phone, a confirmation from the recovery team. Every penny tracked and returned. Warren pushed through the crowd. The network wants to turn your story into a documentary series, something about empowering women to fight financial fraud. Tell them yes, I said, but I want Piper involved. No one knows the inside better than she does. Piper's eyes widened. After what I did, you chose to make it right. That matters. My phone lit up with messages. Peyton, CNN wants an interview. Martinez, 2 more cases just came in. Interested? Warren, board approved your fraud investigation unit. A familiar face caught my eye. Brian Gill, being led to a different courtroom for his own sentencing. Ms. Hughes, he called out, I hear you're taking my old clients. Not clients, Brian, victims, and I'm helping them fight back. The documentary crew filmed as I walked up the courthouse steps, explaining how to spot financial fraud, how to gather evidence, how to fight back. Women around the country had started reaching out after my article went viral. The money matters, I told the camera, but the truth matters more. Every woman deserves to know she has the power to fight back. Back in my office, I found Esther waiting with a package. Nathan's parents sent this, she said. They're selling everything, paying back everyone he hurt. Inside was my grandmother's engagement ring, the one Nathan had claimed was lost last year. They found it in his safety deposit box, Esther explained, along with letters from all his other victims. I placed the ring in my desk drawer, next to my grandmother's journal, symbols of what I'd lost and what I'd gained. My phone rang. Another woman, another story of betrayal. As I listened, I opened my laptop to a new document. Dear Nathan, by the time you read this, I'll have helped dozens of women recover from men like you. Your crime taught me my strength. Your betrayal gave me purpose. And now, your victims are becoming warriors. You thought you were stealing money. Instead, you created an army. Goodbye forever, Yvette. I hit send, knowing the prison would deliver it tomorrow. Peyton burst in. You're trending again. The hashtag Josh track him down is everywhere. Good, I said, picking up my ringing phone, because we're just getting started. Martinez's voice crackled through. Got another case. Wife in Portland, missing savings. Husband claims he was investing it. I grabbed my coat, nodding to Peyton and Esther. Send me the details. I'll be on the next flight. As I headed out, I passed the wall of my new office, now covered with thank you letters from women who'd fought back and won. My phone buzzed one final time, a message from Nathan's prison. Inmate declined to accept your letter. Should we return it? No, I texted back. He already knows what it says. Sometimes the best revenge isn't just getting even. It's helping others get justice too. I stepped into the elevator, already reading Martinez's case notes. Another woman needed help tracking down her lying husband, and I knew exactly where to start.